Is it sunny there? Is that what the problem is?
No, it's not. I've been looking at this computer screen all day, and I have a bad computer headache right now from uh, just overexposure. So forgive me for looking so damn cool.
You look very cool.
But
But
I
if you
just
got a headache,
I'm
let's just talk about this movie next week.
no, I want to do. I have a headache. It's fine. I'm having some coffee. I'll feel better in a few minutes. I just have a little headache glare, and now this is helping.
Okay.
So,
all right. It's not the glare coming off the top of my bald head.
It might. It's not helping, but I don't know. I had this before I saw you.
Oh, okay. Do you have your taxes done? Because taxes are due on Monday.
I did them a long time ago.
Oh, you got them. Wow,
I did them at the normal time, even though we get all these extensions now because of COVID. I didn't have a lot else to do, so I just did my taxes.
You got your taxes done. Okay. Do you have a lot of money coming back?
I don't know.
Okay.
Why should I know? I don't. They always. It never matters if I know, because if I think I know, then there's always a surprise. So why track it? Honestly.
Yeah. No, I get it. Is your headache from the allergies? From the
yeah, I think so. I had really bad pollen, tree pollen today in Brooklyn. It must have been terrible up there where you are.
I don't breathe, so I hold my breath all the time.
Yeah, that didn't help my headache, and but I don't mean it's not a big deal. I'm really doing fine. It's really hard to see right now. It's hard to see the IMDb page that I had to pull up because I've been running around. I've been not running around. Forgive me. I have been sitting here in front of this computer for days, and I'm a little interdimensional at this point.
You're an hamster on a wheel.
How are you? What's happening in your life?
I'm good. I'm getting ready, for my big trip that's going to be in 3 weeks cross country with my buddy Bruce. Who, this trip has been 39 years in the making. Did you know that? Because we were going to do it right after we graduated from college. And for a number of reasons, it didn't happen. And for 39 years, we've been saying, we're going to take that damn trip cross country together someday. And now we're doing it. But here's the thing. It's going to be so much better than it would have been 39 years ago. And you know why?
I really don't.
Because Krispy Kreme, you can get a free donut every day at Krispy Kreme if you show your vaccination card. So I'm going to chart a route across the country from Krispy Kreme shop to Krispy Kreme shop and just don't nut it up.
Did you only get one free donut per Krispy Kreme store per franchise?
No, you can get a free donut every day. So you
at the same Krispy Kreme.
You could walk into the same Krispy Kreme every day with your Vax card and get a free donut.
They can do this because that's how few people seem to be getting vaccinated. That's the only way the math works out.
Well, particularly in the parts of the country where Krispy Kreme is very popular.
I thought they were all over now, but maybe they stopped.
They are all over, but I think they tend to. I think they pay very close attention to the gerrymandering of districts when they decide where they're going to open up.
Right. Well, we all know gerrymandering is big on. He loves donuts. He's very critical. So.
Yeah. Yes.
These are the jokes for this evening. They don't get any better. That's what we've got.
Well, they're better than the movie.
Well, let's ease into this a tiny bit because I don't know that there's ultimately a lot to say about this film.
A whole
lot.
Yeah, I'd rather talk about whatever episode of Star Trek it was that Clint Howard starred in than talk about this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting, speaking of Star Trek, that, like, for instance, the editor of this movie edited like 5 Star Trek movies and this.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a
I think it's
strange
also interesting that the cinematographer of this movie shot Billy Jack.
that I noticed that was also very strange. Strange.
Yeah.
Weird group of people. So
All,
anyway, we'll
all things
postpone
I would
talking about it,
rather
but
talk about.
I would love to briefly just mention a show that I am liking that I know you like, the Mayor of Easttown. I finally caught up with that. I don't know if we've discussed this on the show or not. I know you have. I don't think I've said how damn good I think it is. It's damn good.
Great. I'm 1 episode behind. I've only seen 3 episodes now, and I'm waiting to watch episode 4. But yeah, I am loving it, and just really crazy about her in it.
Great performance. Fantastic.
Yeah. Kate Winslet is just really throwing it down.
So that's good. And then we come to First Monday in October. Then you've got this.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised that I was like pushing seeing this movie. I don't, because I saw it when I was a kid, and something about it I really liked, and I can't for the life of me figure out what it was.
I know what it was, but we'll get to it. We'll get to that. But I would like to say that you're pushing for this movie and us watching it more than makes up for my having put us through the 27 dresses ordeal. I am redeemed.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'll give you that. I will say that this movie probably has about 15 good minutes in it, sprinkled throughout. And that's more than 27 dresses had.
You'll have to point those minutes out to me, because to my mind, the 15 good minutes of this movie when it was in the theater would have been if I'd gotten there really early and was eating my popcorn.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'll point them out to you. We're not going to disagree too much, man. I don't know what it was. I really don't know why. I think I don't know what it was. I know I was a fan of the director, and I still am a big fan of a couple of movies he made. He made one of my favorite movies of all time, called The Horse's Mouth, with Alec Guinness. It's an older movie. It's like from the 60s. And he made a great movie called Hopscotch with Walter Matthau also. And he made this right after. I don't really feel like blaming Ronald Neame. So I think that he did some nice things, but
maybe you were just still in the afterglow of Hopscotch when you saw this movie.
It's possible. It's possible. I mean, I think Matthau owns almost everything he does. So I enjoyed watching him do this. But you know what? We haven't even explained what it is. First Monday in October,
which is named after the first Monday in October, which is when, as per the Constitution, the Supreme Court of the United States jumps into session. And the movie deals with the very first appointed female justice of the Supreme Court, and the mostly focusing on the relationship between Walter Matthau, who plays the far left justice, somewhat modeled after William O. Douglas, and a right-wing female justice who is appointed by the president when another justice unfortunately passes away, and their somewhat or maybe very fractious relationship. And there are 2 cases that are central to the film. One is a obscenity case, which of course Walter Matthau's character doesn't even think merits any examination. He's gonna vote this is not obscene because it's protected by the First Amendment. And of course the right-wing justice thinks there should be some sort of community standards and some limitations on free speech. And then there's a big corporate story and our corporation's people. And that's what their conflict centers around. And that's the plot. I would rather have watched the opera Scalia Ginsburg by Derek Wang, which was an opera that was written about the relationship between Antonin Scalia and Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who were at polar opposites, as these two were, and yet were incredible friends. That's my.
Well, it's too bad we're not doing a political commentary show. That would have been fascinating.
You hated that. You hated that. You hated my summary of what the movie was about.
I don't agree with you.
I will state that my summary was more entertaining than the movie.
Do you feel that when you watch a film, that you are affected by your mood or what happened that day or the sandwich that you ate or didn't eat? I mean, do you think there's any truth to that? Maybe that you're,
yes, yeah, that happens.
Okay.
And sometimes it happens that I'm having a spectacular day and the movie can destroy my will to live.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's a lot. That's a lot. So I'm curious, what's if you had to pick a number one complaint, what would your number one complaint be?
I thought it was insulting to the intelligence of the American people, this movie.
It's never bothered you before.
Yeah, this is true. You got me. Oh, you got me. And the show comes alive. Finally. Yes, but here's a movie that ostensibly is about, even though it's a comedy, it's ostensibly addressing some real issues through a comedy. And yet they are handled so clumsily and on such a first grade level. There was nothing sophisticated or nuanced about the handling of the arguments between these two people who are supposed to be incredibly intelligent.
Right. Yeah, I agree that
their arguments were like the arguments of it was like watching kindergartners bicker.
Which is a little surprising. I guess I was kind of surprised, coming from Jerome Lawrence and Robert E. Lee, the writer, not the horrible person. Right. He may have been a horrible person. Again, I don't know. I
think Jerome Robbins would have done a better script than this.
I know, but I mean, the guy didn't these folks wrote Inherit the Wind, yes?
Yeah, which is what is surprising.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, that's what it's like. They wrote. That's arguably, one of the most famous, court play ever written. I mean, it's up there with 12 Angry Men or I don't even know what.
Yeah.
Scent of a Lady. What was that? That wasn't a play.
Nor was it a movie, Scent of a Lady. No. I think Scent of a Lady may have been the name of the pornographic film that they're examining in this movie.
That could be. It could be. I could have been mistaken about that. Yeah, so that was kind of surprising. It was really, really, juvenile. That whole part of it, and I don't know anything about the law or about the Supreme Court. I know you know a lot more than me, so it must have been super frustrating. I
argued in front of the Supreme Court once.
I have nothing to say other than I'm deeply impressed.
Yeah, when I was getting ready to go to law school, a friend of mine and I were visiting Washington, and we went down to the Supreme Court, and we had an argument on the front steps just so that we could say that we argued before the Supreme Court.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
There you go.
I did. Yes.
All respect to Jill Clayburgh. She's done some incredible work. I don't know what
your old friend Jill Clayburgh.
My old friend Jill Clayburgh, who gave me a minor concussion.
Okay, stories.
Stories, yeah. When we
this was Scent of a Lady. You were shooting Scent of a Lady.
We were shooting close. We were shooting An Unmarried Woman, which also could have been the title of the pornographic movie in this the Supreme Court is examining. And I played the daughter's boyfriend in that movie, who gets Jill Clayburgh comes home after a very bad first date after her marriage has fallen apart. She goes on a date with the wonderful actor Andrew Duncan, and it ends badly. And she comes home early to find her daughter making out with her boyfriend in the bedroom, and she flips out and kicks me out of the apartment. And in one take, I got my head slammed in the apartment door, and it was one of those Manhattan, those Upper East Side heavy metal,
the ones that were designed to withstand a nuclear blast, the tuck and roll door.
And
wow. Did you need stitches? Were you
I didn't need stitches. I wasn't cut, but we did need to take a break for about 10 or 15 minutes so that I could sort of get my wits back about me again.
Was she appropriately apologetic? I would imagine she was apologetic.
I'll say yes.
Wow. Okay.
But it was that's my Jill Clayburgh story. That was the extent of my interaction with her, was that scene.
So you got rolled by Jill Clayburgh. She beat you senseless.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I always thought she was a good actor. I didn't feel like she was in this performance. I don't know what was going on there.
I don't think she had a script to work with. I don't know what was going on in that Senate confirmation scene. I don't know how that was directed. There was this weird thing of looking down every time she wasn't answering a question. And I don't know if that was supposed to be that she was looking at her notes.
There's a reference to Billy Jack.
Which you're right. But we never saw the notes. So it was this very awkward scene that I didn't understand at all what was going on in that scene. And I felt like the movie didn't start till about 25 minutes into the movie.
I see. We're opposite there. I thought it stopped 15 minutes in and didn't start and never started.
Okay.
I thought the setup was fine. I was along for it before it started trying to be important about what it was saying about the law and about getting along and, the two sides balancing each other out. I was on board. I thought, well, I was like, this feels like the slow burn setup to a ridiculous comedy where they're going to be at each other's throats. And I thought, okay, this could be, we could be going into Adam's rib territory or something, and we weren't, and it didn't.
We didn't. Can you answer a couple of questions for me? There is the central issue in one of the cases is this pornographic, obscene film. And there's a sequence when the justices have to go in and watch the movie.
Yeah.
And that scene should have been very funny. And it wasn't. And also, it was awkward and uncomfortable because they showed either make it funny or make it serious, but they showed us some of the pornographic movie in these gratuitous images that didn't fit with the rest of the film. unless they were trying to make a serious movie addressing this issue, which they clearly weren't.
It's funny you're describing the only scene I liked.
Me too.
I don't know why.
But so there's those weird images, and then this scene where Jill Clayburgh is in the shower and obviously completely naked in the shower. It's shot through a frosted glass, and she's naked, and then there's a knock at the door, and she comes out of the shower and puts a robe on, but she's walking naked away from the shower. And I don't know why that was in there. It was
I know why.
out
I
of
think
kilter with the rest of the movie.
I know why. I think it's because we're supposed to kind of believe that there's a burgeoning romance, and they forgot to put any romance in the movie at all.
Okay.
So they were like, could you just get naked and walk down the hallway? Because that would seem like maybe it's romantic.
Right. That's
what I think
and
happened.
then there's the one line where he says, well, my wife, one of the reasons she left me is because she thinks I think you're attractive. And we have seen no evidence of that anywhere in the movie. And we certainly haven't seen any evidence of it in his relationship with his wife before she leaves. His wife, by the way, the wonderful Jan Sterling in her last performance.
I could have watched Matthau and Barnard Hughes for like an hour. That was great. I could have watched them be ridiculous and stuffy and funny in his offices and complaining to each other about things, and that old friendship was great. I could have watched that movie. I could have watched a movie where there are lines like, this was pretty funny to me when Matthau's talking to his wife who's just gotten back from Europe, and he's just gotten back from mountain climbing, which is his thing. He doesn't really come off like a mountain climber too much in the movie, but whatever. And he says, how was Europe? She says, wet. She says, how was your mountain? He goes, high. And I'm like, that was like a cute moment. And then
yeah, but that was the high point of the movie, right?
That happened in the first 15 minutes. That's what I'm saying. Like the first 15 minutes, you had Barney Hughes lying on the couch, and that was funny.
Right.
Now, granted, we are talking about a movie where I say the funny part of the first 15 minutes is an older man lies on a couch.
That's all I got. Yeah. There was a line that I liked. The men on the court have got to stick together, Mason. After all, there are only 8 of us left against all of her.
Great line.
That was the line.
There's some zingers. There's some good, you can see that this was based on a play.
Yes.
And a very, very beloved play, I think.
I also liked when she said, are you well enough to talk? And he said, I'm even well enough to listen. That was a moment of transition in their relationship. But those moments were few and far between. And in terms of the play, this play only 79 performances on Broadway.
Oh, so it wasn't a hit?
No.
Oh, okay. I figured it was a hit. That's why they made a movie of it.
So did I. There's a couple of things that really fall flat too. For instance, the high five between Walter Matthau and the one African-American justice on the court does not age well.
No.
Maybe
no, it doesn't.
Cool at the time, but it really doesn't age well.
It was awkward. It was certainly an awkward thing.
And then the gag with the convertible in the rain, just, and then, she left her lights on.
Okay. Well, I think that
filmmaking.
Okay. I go with you 75, 80% of the way down that road. And then I want to be like, have you ever seen a Ronald Nee movie before? Have you ever seen Horse's Mouth? Did you see Hopscotch?
No.
He comes from the Ealing studio, British studio system, Ealing comedies and stuff. And he's just he's got his own particular weird, sly little sense of humor, and I like him. I feel like I don't know how he was meshing with maybe the studio system. If this feels like this was a Hollywood movie, big time, and maybe it was a little bit more left alone in Hopscotch because now he had 2 stars, and I don't know. I'd be interested to find out. I just think there's the guy who made Horse's Mouth is really not an amateur filmmaker. So I don't know what happened here. And I don't know if it's all him. I know it's partly the screenplay, but it literally like it decides not to be a movie. And it's like a midway through. Like it's nothing, really nothing happens. I felt. Did you feel that? Like it really just was like part 1 and then there's nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
No, I was really unhappy through the whole thing.
Wow, unhappy. This is terrible. We got to pick movies that make you that at least make you mildly uneasy, but not unhappy.
Well, we've got a movie next week that's going to cheer me up no end because
okay.
We'll get to it, but it does involve people getting eaten, so that always puts a smile on my face.
Yeah. How did you watch this movie? Did you watch it on television or on your computer or your cell phone?
Movie, I always watch them on my computer
with headphones on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That bad? I shouldn't be doing that.
Oh, I'm just curious. It's something to talk about. Clearly, the movie isn't inspiring.
We're not going to be able to
much
talk
conversation.
About the movie. Yeah,
I mean,
Matthau. We can get into what kinds of headphones I'm wearing and
what kind are you wearing?
What kind are they? There's some really nice headphones that Dad gave me. I don't know. They have an M on the side. They have an M on the side.
They have an M on the side.
Yeah, they're very comfortable.
Very nice.
Yeah, they're very comfortable. They block out all kinds of sound, but not the sound of the movie that you're watching. That you can
although
hear.
You wish that you had that feature on the headphones.
Yeah.
I could imagine that this movie kind of pissed you off actually, if knowing how you would like the same thing if it were done well would be right up your alley. I would imagine. Yeah,
courtroom stuff, and I also I expected some oral argument in the movie. Some courtroom oral.
Well, but it was a PG. It was PG, dude. They're not gonna.
There you go. And we do get one oral argument in the film, and it's a joke. I mean, it was not dramatic. It's I have done, not in front of the United States Supreme Court, but I've done a couple of oral arguments in federal court. I argued in front of the highest court in the state of New York once, and those are exciting. Those can be very exciting events. And people are sharp and at their best, and they're witty during them. I mean, the judges who I was in front of just destroyed me a couple of times, and had fun doing it. I actually, I don't know if I ever told you this story, but when I was about to start my argument in front of the Court of Appeals up in Albany, and it's a 7-judge bench, right? So you're up there in front of 7 judges, and I'm terrified. It's my first time arguing there, only time arguing there. And I'm just about to start my argument, and Judge Wachtler, who later was indicted, but the chief judge, I'm just about to start my argument, and he holds up his hand and he says, "Excuse me, counselor, can you hold on for one moment, please?" And then he goes, come in, everybody come in. And I turn around, and it's this huge ceremonial courtroom, and about 150 kids start filing in from a high school civics class. And the minute they start walking in the classroom, I realize I am completely screwed, because these judges are now going to put on a show
right
for the kids. of how exciting it can be to be in a courtroom. And the way they decided to put on the show was by eviscerating me in front of them
Oh,
for 15
nice.
minutes.
Nice. To show what they could do.
To show what they could do. So when the kids finally sit down, I start my statement, which is just to say, Mr. Chief Judge, may it please the court, my name is, and that's as far as I got. I didn't even get my name out before they started shooting questions at me. And it's about 15 minutes of that. I finish, I sit down, and then the old guy opposing me, who I'd never met, stands up, and Judge Wackler looks at me and he says, Bernie, it's good to see you again. And I thought, okay, well, my life is now over.
That's
and
fantastic.
Yeah. So I've had other experiences of that with judges where they're pithy and they're witty and they take each other to task, and they take I was making an argument once in chambers, and I didn't have a leg to stand on, and I knew it, but I was doing what they, I was going with what they gave me. And this old judge holds up his hand. He says, Counselor, hold on just for one moment. He says, let me ask you a question. If the law were a religion, where would we be right now? And I said, in church, Your Honor. And he says, that's right. And if we were in church, and he turns around and he pulls one of the case books off the wall behind him, and he says, what would this be? And I'm like, that would be the Bible, Your Honor. And he says, that's right. And he opens it up and finds what he's looking for. And he says, and the Bible says, and he starts reading me about sanctions against attorneys who are making baseless arguments in court, and just destroys me. And now, granted, the audience might not know all this law, but there's a way to write this stuff and teach people and bring them along and bring the excitement and tension of what those events can really be like, and bring it alive for people. And I feel like as filmmakers and storytellers, particularly dealing with something like the Supreme Court, we've got an obligation to make this stuff educational and interesting, to get people excited about these issues and what these institutions mean. And this movie utterly failed in doing that.
Mm-hmm. I would say I the only thing I disagree with is the obligation, but other than that,
well, opportunity then.
Okay. I mean, I think I'd say that I'd be interested in whatever their viewpoint was. It's just that they didn't seem to have a lot of feeling about it one way or another. And maybe that's because Ronald Neame is British and doesn't have a feel or any sentimentality at all about like the U.S. government and how it runs and the history of the hallowed halls of justice here or whatever. But yeah, it just didn't come through. I mean, for me, the thing that I was kind of unimpressed by was the depiction of the right and left and the conversation itself that they were having, and the depiction of like I thought this when it came out was a mature movie for adults, and it turns out it's literally like Three's Company. Like the level of maturity is with this woman entering the halls of justice for the first time was not handled nearly with the kind of maturity I thought it was. And I don't know why I liked this movie when I was younger. It makes no sense at all. It concerns me. I have no justification for it.
Maybe it was the shower scene.
Well, okay. You got me dead to rights. It just blew my mind, that shower scene. Yeah, they're not great performances in here to talk about much, although do you find Matthau watchable? You've said nothing about him, so maybe
I like Matthau. You want to hang out with him. I mean, he's the Mr. Magoo face, you know.
Yeah.
He is watchable. I'll also say there was one of the justices, Lou Palter, who's one of those faces that you just recognize from a million shows. I loved seeing him. He has nothing to do. James Stevens from The Paper Chase, basically playing the same role. What was going on there? I don't know.
He did a nice job. I liked him.
Did a nice job. A nice job in a thankless role.
Thankless. True. Didn't go nothing. It didn't go nowhere. Didn't happen.
No. And and I have no good stories about any of the people in this movie, other than my head getting slammed in the door.
Right. You know? Well, Barnard Hughes. The story I will tell is that Barney Hughes and his wife Helen Stemborg, who were, as I know, a famous acting couple.
Yes.
And they were Broadway stars and film stars together, and they acted together. And since the 50s, they were a big deal. And Amelia my wife Amelia got to do a play with Barney and Helen and a lot of other amazing older actors, including Betty Bacall. And that was the Betty Bacall thing. Right. And Rosemary Harris. And so we got to know Barney and Helen a little bit. Helen, who we just saw in not Manchurian Candidate, in what was it? The 3 Days of the Condor.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Anyway, they used to have Christmas parties that were famous in New York, like famous actor Broadway Christmas party. And we got to go a few times to those, and just Amelia and I were just like jaws on the floor as to the revelry and the drunkenness of the famous people in that room. It was just great. That was absolutely fantastic. So Barney, I love seeing Barney in anything. He had a nice role in this, and I honestly love him. I think he's great. And I could have, like I said, that first 10 minutes with him in it, if the movie had been about them and about kind of an odd couple thing in the halls of justice, and it had nothing to do with, with these supposed legal moral issues that didn't feel real. That other case, the final case about whatever energy machine or thing, it's just, that was really bad and not thought through at all.
Well, and those are both, the thing that's a shame is those are both real issues that are treated in real cases that are interesting. And they didn't handle them in this. The only good story I have that relates to any of this at all is several years ago, I was walking up Broadway, and a gentleman tapped me on the shoulders. I came out of the subway, I'm walking up Broadway, and a gentleman taps me on the shoulder, and I turn around, and there's a gentleman, gray-haired, very pale. He says, excuse me, but I just have to tell you, I was so moved. And I'm thinking to myself, what, did he see me in some play? What is, I was so moved by your speech at your father's memorial. And I had a moment of just like, I've had a stroke. I'm coming out of a blackout. And then I said, oh no, he said to me, excuse me, my name is David Ives. So immediately I knew I was talking to somebody from the theater. David Ives, the playwright who wrote All in the Timing and
Ives of the Ives of March also, right?
Yeah. He's so when David Ives, who I haven't met, but he's identified himself, and he starts saying, "You're so moved," I was so moved. I'm thinking, what did he see me in that he liked?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited to hear what he has to say.
David Ives ruined your day. That's awful.
And then he's telling me about my father's memorial, and then I recovered and I said, "I'm sorry. I think you must have me confused with somebody else." And he said, "Aren't you Barney Hughes's boy?" And he thought I was Doug. He confused me with Doug Hughes.
Okay.
Who's a theater director. And a couple of months later, I bumped into Doug at a party. And I said, "Doug, just in case you didn't know, David Ives loved your eulogy for your dad." And he was like, "How do you know?" I said, "Because he mistook me for you." And he said, "We don't look anything alike." And we don't. So it was that's my only Barney Hughes story.
See, this is why we don't do a podcast about theater and Broadway, because these are the kinds of stories.
That's all we got.
Cat doesn't want to hear it either. Wow, listen to him go. Listen to him.
Yeah.
Cagney, stop that, buddy. Come on.
Wow. Is he watching?
Take it easy.
Is he watching First Monday in October?
Oh, he's watching the second Monday in November, and it's even worse. Yeah, too bad. I bet you the people that made The West Wing love this movie and would talk about it in a nerdy way.
I don't think so. It actually says in my notes, "For God's sake, give me some Sorkin."
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not that Sorkin wrote comedies, but that sort of pace and respect for the intelligence of your audience, I think, would have served this movie well. And that's talking purely from a right. Nothing against our director. That's talking purely from a script on the script level.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I agree. Although the one thing I guess that I did kind of like about it is, as a young person, maybe, and where I feel. No, come on, stop it. Come on. Is this kind of weird idea that I think it was the first movie where I saw
a shower scene.
No, you just want me to suffer so much right now. I think depicting a judge, for instance, a Supreme Court judge like that, has merit because they're human in the film. He's human. They're both human beings, and I think there was something valid about making a movie where the point wouldn't, I'm remaking the movie in my head, but I could say, take parts of this, and those parts worked because I feel like I would have sat through a movie that was really more just about them bickering. So something was right. Something felt good. I liked their chemistry. I thought she was better when he was in the room. And if they had stuck to that pettiness, if it was like odd couple romance kind of thing between them, and they tabled all of that, the movie would have been better, and it still would have had that quality of showing you that these people are human beings, and that it looked like a cool job. I think that's what I came away with as a young person in 1981, going like, that looks like a fun job to have. Like, that looks cool to go to that office and to clearly love the job as much as he did and stuff. I didn't think there was any irony about that. And I think there was a little bit of spirit in that part of it for me. I mean, showing him coming to work and how he talked about stuff and the interchanges with his wife and everything felt like the setup of almost like an Elaine May comedy.
Right.
And then it decided really not to be a comedy.
I think you've touched on something really powerful, though, because the movie ultimately, the only moment where I found myself truly moved was when she says she's going to quit and he won't let her, even though they disagree on everything.
Right.
And that's where the movie tapped into something that is true and real about the court. And if you listen to some of these interviews with Scalia and Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she talks about reading. She talks about this one particular instance where he showed her his dissent in a case where she was writing the majority opinion before she had finished writing the majority opinion. And he gave her his dissent so that she could write her majority opinion better. You know, and the idea that these people, even when they disagreed, see themselves as part of a system that upholds the way things that will make things better, that because we disagree honestly and we really argue it out, we will make our arguments and the system better. But I just kept being disappointed that they didn't illustrate that more effectively and more clearly.
I agree. I just think I finally kind of figured out why, as a kid, what it was about it that appealed to me as a young person. The legal stuff was probably not something I was paying as much attention to as, you know, the dynamic between these judges and how, despite the fact that they might disagree, you watch them having to work together and have a sandwich together and like look out for each other in this way. Like they're all on the same team, even though they fighting about stuff. I don't know for sure that that's what it's like, but in that kind of weird Howard Hawks way, it kind of just made me a little bit, you know, on team Supreme Court. Like I want to hang out with these folks. I would want to see more about it based on this movie. And so anyway, that's the only thing I can say in support of it. But I think it is a completely missed opportunity, but based on where they wanted to go with the script. It really is, because those cases are not described well and they come out of nowhere, particularly that one about the engine and the free energy and stuff. It's really it's just really poorly conceived, which I was surprised at, frankly. I don't know why I thought that these two, you know, Broadway playwrights would necessarily write a great screenplay, because it doesn't always follow. But it was just weak in the way that I thought the Scopes Monkey Trial play was not weak at all, right?
Yeah.
Unless I'm misremembering, does that like
I'd have to go back and look at stuff again which
you're not going to do, clearly. The way you said that just
no,
now.
we could put Inherit the Wind on our watch list.
I think we need to pivot to a place that's going to be better for us.
We're pivoting. But eventually, at some point, we could watch Inherit the Wind.
I wouldn't mind. I mean, I'd be curious to see that again. But
next week, we're watching something different.
Why don't you tell? Why don't you tell Mom what we're going to watch?
Mom, next week we're going to watch, and she's going to be very excited about this because she's a big fan of wolves.
Right.
We're going to watch Wolfen.
I'm on board.
Albert Finney, Diane Venora, Gregory Hines, Thomas Noonan, and Edward James Olmos.
Back in the wheelhouse.
Back in our wheelhouse. Fun
mayhem, grindhouse,
blood, people being eaten.
Yeah, it's what you need in a pandemic. You don't need these highfalutin, erudite comedies, these bourgeois comedies.
It's very strange to me that James Murtaugh is not in this movie. Maybe we should have him on as a guest anyway, as our resident wolf expert.
I think we're going to put him in this movie. He's going to be in our cut.
Okay. So a short episode tonight, because how much more can we really say? We could start talking about our allergies again, but
I don't think anybody needs to hear about that.
No.
I didn't make any interesting food. I didn't do anything interesting.
You didn't do anything interesting?
Not particularly.
Boy, Yeah, I didn't either.
Not entirely true. Let it be said. We just did see a whole class of young students we've been working with at Pace graduate in this last week, and that was really cool. That was really
exciting.
Yeah, it was really powerful to see them go through a COVID year like this and do great work and really pull together and get through it. So that was a really cool thing that happened this week, and that both Amelia and I were part of. So
well, that's great.
Yeah.
Likewise, I finished up my classes this week, and I'll be viewing their final project next week. But boy, I'm looking forward to getting back in the classroom in the fall.
I bet the real interaction. It's fantastic. It's gonna be a good
actual human
re-entry. Yeah,
it's a good thing.
So we're going to be taking a break while you're going cross country. I'm assuming we will. We'll probably have.
We are going to have to take a break for a few weeks,
which is good because we haven't taken a break in a year, so we're due.
So I think we're going to have 2 more episodes, and then 3 or 4 weeks off.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll take
next week Wolfen, and then something else the week after that, which will be revealed.
We won't tell you what it is yet. You don't know. We don't even know.
We don't even know. All right.
Fantastic.
And I'll see you tomorrow night.
The day after tomorrow night.
Right. Yes, because today is Wednesday.
That's correct.
All right. Okay.
All right. Wonderful, man. Have a good one.
Soon.
You too. Bye.
Good night.